The Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back to the Bliss Business Podcast. I'm Tullio. Today on the Monologue Series, we are featuring episode 5 entitled Rules of Engagement Shape the Culture. We're talking about rules of engagement because this is one of the most important drivers of bliss, and it's one of the most overlooked. Every company has rules of engagement. Even if they're not written down, they're there. They show up in moments like how disagreements are handled, what happens when someone makes a mistake, whether bad news is welcomed or punished, how feedback is given, who gets listened to, who gets protected, and what gets ignored. These are real rules of the business. This is why culture is not built by values on a wall. Culture is built by repeated behavior. Bliss grows when rules of engagements create trust, dignity, and accountability. Bliss collapses when rules of engagements create fear, politics, and silence. A lot of leaders say they want honesty. Then they react badly when they hear the truth. A lot of leaders say they want accountability. Then they allow triangulation, gossip, and blame. A lot of leaders say they want collaboration. Then they reward the loudest voice of the person who wins in internal politics. Teams notice all of this. People do not trust what leaders say. They trust what leaders tolerate. That is why rules of engagement matter so much. They are the bridge between leadership intent and everyday experience. This also connects directly to design thinking, which we talked about in the last episode. If you want to design a healthier organization, we have to start with the lived experience. We have to ask what it feels like to speak up, disagree, ask for help, or challenge a bad decision. If the answer is risky, then the system is teaching silence. In the Empath IQ framework, this is where empathy and self-management come together. Empathy helps us understand what people are experiencing. Self-management helps us create the environment where people can act with agency, not compliance. That distinction matters. Bliss does not come from forced alignment. It stands for build love into scalable system. You can't force love. Bliss comes from honest alignment. So what do healthy rules of engagement actually sound like? Here are 5 that create bliss. Ready? Okay. First, address issues directly. No triangulation, no side conversation that avoid the real conversation. Second, separate the person from the problem. My grandmother used to say, blame the sin, not the sinner. We can challenge a decision or a behavior without attacking someone's identity. Third, assume positive intent, but verify with facts. This keeps empathy and accountability in the same room. Fourth, do not punish early truth. If someone surfaces a risk early, thank them. Do not make them regret it. Fifth, feedback must serve growth. Feedback is not performance of superiority. It is a contribution to the team and the mission. These 5 rules alone can radically change how a company feels and performs. Now, here's the key. Rules of engagement only work if they're enforced consistently. This is where many organizations fail. They define the rules. They do not protect the rules. When one higher performer violates the norm, nothing happens. One senior leader shuts someone down, nothing happens. One person gets away with gossip or public disrespect, and nothing happens. And suddenly the whole culture gets the message. The rule is not real. Bliss requires consistency. Consistency creates safety. Safety creates truth. Truth creates better decisions. Better decisions create better performance. It's not a complicated formula. That is the chain. Let us make this practical. If a leadership team wants bliss, it cannot only say, what are our goals? It also has to ask, how will we work together while pursuing those goals? Because the how becomes the culture, and the culture becomes the customer experience. In an internal environment that is harsh, defensive, and political, customers will feel that. If the internal environment is direct, respectful, and accountable, customers feel that too. So here's the tangible move for this week. Choose 3 rules of engagement and make them explicit. Put them in writing. Discuss that each one of them looks like in practice. Then decide how the leadership team will reinforce them in real time. For example, if we say no triangulation, what do we do when it happens? If we say no blame, what language do we use instead? If we say direct feedback, what is the expected standard for doing that? Do not stop at principles. Define the behaviors. Bliss is not created by inspiration. Bliss is created by standards people can trust. When the rules of engagements are clean, people stop wasting energy protecting themselves. They use that energy to solve problems, to support each other, to move the business forward. This is what bliss looks like in real life. Thank you for listening to the Bliss Business Podcast. Next week, we're going to talk about operating rhythms and how the right cadence can reduce chaos, increase trust, and make execution feel lighter. Until then, stay blissful.